Congratulations, China, on your return from your first space station mission. And congratulations to the Russians for keeping our International Manned Space Mission going and making another safe return from that space station. Congratulations, CERN, for finding that elusive particle. Awesome job. Okay, here's where I switch hats. We're going to talk about going to Mars, and I've looked at a lot of Mars ships trying to decide what my design is going to be for my mock Mars. And I did go a little old school. I looked at a lot of old designs from old movies and TV shows. I even looked at old Saturn V chemical rockets missions to Mars dating back to the 70s. Of course, I kept looking at updates to these programs and getting more into atomic powered rockets. And of course, I had kind of problems with all these just from an artistic standpoint. They all kind of look like sticks with wings. Of course, the modern direct approach is even more boring visually. So if we're going to get to Mars and get the public excited about it, it's got to be something a little more exciting to look at than this. One of my favorites is this Martian electric spaceship that's really a blast from the past, and it appears to fly sideways, which is just a lot of fun. While many of these designs are really practical, trying to make a mock mission isn't trying to design something that will actually fly to Mars, but trying to create something that will get the public excited about us going to Mars. And cylinders, big cylinder tanks just aren't it. Just getting there is not going to cut it. It has to be something that visually excites people, especially if it's going to be in a imagination center or a science center, if you will. A lot of designs like this old Russian concept for a mission to Mars look like real hardship kind of missions. A lot of, like Mars Ones also has this very hardship, and I think half the fun is getting there, and I don't think it should be like we got to just live this horrible life in a tiny capsule. It's got to be something more than that to get the public excited about going to Mars. These mock missions have to have a little bit of the old and feel real to the public, but they also have to inspire and go beyond anything that we currently have and really spark the imagination of the public. If mock missions have a role in inspiring the public to support a Mars mission. If the public paid for these mock missions, would they get to go up and have a visit with the Mockonauts before the actual mission began by going up in a space capsule type ride to connect with the Mars ship before it takes out? Like a bon voyage kind of thing with the public? Could there even be like a short-term ride that's a mock mission just for the public, a near-Earth asteroid type of ride with these two adjoining space capsules holding maybe, up to 10 people? And what could you do to inspire the public, make them part of the process? That's the question. How far could you go with these mock missions, and is there a place for the public interacting with them? Could you sell patches to the mock missions, like this patch for Argentine Air Force NASA mock mission? Could that help fund these mock missions and perhaps even fund a real Mars mission by selling souvenirs? It's all according to how much the public would buy. Could you do a whole series of toys based on a Mars mission, and would that help supply some funds for a small part of the mission? Of course, we're all waiting for Falcon Heavy to make a real mission even remotely possible at this point. Still, my preferred method for getting up in space would be airship to orbit. JP Aerospace, if you could take over the job of the heavy lift rockets to get people into space, to me that would be my preferred way to launch into space. That 3-in-1, get into orbit and start your mission to Mars that way. And when you get to the surface of Mars, how is that going to be created in a mock mission? We saw on the Mars 500 it wasn't very convincing, And if you have to create all that rock, that gets a lot of expense. Perhaps instead of a big box type store where you have to create your own Mars environment, perhaps the whole mission should be in a cave, and then you're inside a Martian cave when you get out of your mock mission into your mock landing. A cave would also have advantages that you could pump water in the winter months and schedule your mock landing to be in winter, and have ice samples to be able to take it inside the cave. Of course, it would be better to be a commercial cave, an old mine, than an actual natural cave where formations could get injured by the Machonauts. Of course, it would also be good if you live somewhere near red rocks. It could be imported to make it as realistic as possible, the conditions inside the cave, or the big box, a corner of the big box store, perhaps in a dome. Of course, there's always the question of what to wear when your mock mission gets to your mock landing. And so what are your choices in costuming as far as what would be the most effective looking spacesuit, and what would be the easiest to produce to create your mock mission? Should you have props that your Machonauts can interact with once you get on the Martian surface, like old rovers or old Martian landers, to be scattered across the surface for them to discover? And should you have rovers that interact with your astronauts, robots that perhaps people from Phobos, in another part of the mock mission, are controlling, to add another dimension and perhaps more realism to the mission and more excitement? Will the machines be hardy enough for your astronauts to take rides on them in these mock landing missions? Perhaps form-fitting counter-pressure suits would be the way to go. The Machonauts would be more comfortable, and I don't think it's that far off in the future. The bulky suits would probably just be more difficult, and then if you had them pressurized, that would even cause more problems. Not to have them pressurized would be unrealistic. And they almost look like superhero outfits, and I've always thought astronauts are real superheroes of our age, not the fantasy that may not promote good mental health. So if we're going to have somebody that looks like Spider-Man, let's have him be an astronaut in a counter-pressure suit, and not some costume Avengers, which doesn't encourage education, only fantasy. And these boots would also be a major problem. I know they used Army surplus Arctic bunny boots in some of the mock missions in the high Arctic. Probably you'd want something that was custom built off the rack, especially if it was an interactive exhibit with the public and not just a psychological scientific mission in a mock mission. And here I believe is the creator modeling her own counter-pressure suit invention. And I think you can look at the gloves here. You could probably buy those relatively cheap, and if you produced enough of these, you could have several mock missions every few decades. I think this is the way to go as far as costuming your mock mission. I'm not really sure where this image comes from. I think it's from a rotoscoped animated movie that I saw, but I really like the speed ski helmets they're using for the space helmets, and probably my favorite helmet design. And then it looks like up here they just have some kind of cloth wrapped around to hide their necks, but that may not be a bad way to go, because it looks like this would give a lot of visibility, and you could have a light and a microphone in the pointed jaw of the helmet that would allow them to communicate easy, and probably maybe even breathe a little bit easier. You could put a small fan up there. So I do like these helmets, not quite sure where they came from. I'm going to wrap this Retro Rocket up because I'm just running out of time on it. I've got more stuff than I have reasonable time to put on this episode. I was going to do an all art issue this time out, but because of a lot of family issues and a lot of other things going on in my life right now, including some big art projects, I didn't have the time to do that. This is going to be one of the things I'll probably repaint. This is like a little collage thing, and basically my tugs or my space pods are based on the Major Matt Mason moon suit, but turned into micro G space pod instead of a moon suit. So that's one of the things that'll be part of the toy mock mission, which I'm hoping to have up and going by July 25th. And this one right here was my original design for my mock mission ship. Was 2 Transhabs and that's a rotating centrifuge, and then this exercise run, which the runner created his own centripetal force and was able to run by his own momentum around the loop, and it would be not rotating but a micro G environment that, like I said, the runner created his own force, centripetal force. So and then to wrap it all up is, I can get back, this is the original drawing. You can see this is all off killer, so I'll be redrawing this and doing 3 different views of it, and this whole kind of messed up area in the center will be drastically changed, but probably the front and the back will be a little bit the same. I'll probably get rid of the Discovery communication dishes and just try to be a little more original. And this is where the pods you just saw, they fit into these 2 little areas. So my little space pod concept, based off Major Matt Mason toys, based off I can't remember the name of the company that created the original moon suit prototype. But anyway, that's kind of it for now, and I'll probably see you in 2 or 3 days, and if not, it might be 2 or 3 weeks. So till the next episode, which will probably be part 5 of mock missions. I'm going to keep going on this till I kind of exhaust myself on that and get back into maybe moon bases, space news, and airship to orbit, which I want to talk about more in detail. Sometimes you just got to give it over to the sun gods. You know what I mean? Really, really.